You ready?
Sure.
Are you ready?
If I botch it, you'll just fix it, so.
No.
More work for you.
Fix it in post.
Just fix it in post.
We're live in 5, 4, 3.
I just want to capture that on audio next time.
5, 4, 3.
It was so extra.
That's why I'm the host, and he sits there with the whiteboard.
And welcome to the Binc Film Podcast, where we talk all things entertainment, film, and music. I'm your guest, Holli, and this is your host, Gordon Berg. Welcome.
The way you said that makes it sound like you're both.
Yeah. I'm obviously also co-hosting this since you're fucking lazy.
There's no co-host. And I didn't want to do this podcast after how rude and disrespectful and ungrateful you were at the end of the last one.
And yet here I am. Hi.
It's really because we just wanted Josh.
Diversity.
we wanted Josh
Actually,
to be jealous.
Yeah, that's absolutely
That's
the truth.
Only reason
We're like,
here.
how can we just poke between the ribs and twist a little? Mm-hmm. And he's gonna hate it so much, and it makes me happy.
Hey, Josh, if you're listening to this,
he's gonna be like, fuck you guys.
You could be the other voice right now, but you're not, because it's not all about you.
So, earlier today, when I was listening to the podcast to catch myself up, I couldn't force myself to watch the first one because I know there's 15 minutes of banana involved, and I was like, I don't think if I can mentally handle this while I'm at work. I gotta do this shit on the weekend. So I haven't seen that part yet, but I know. I know what happened.
I also can't watch it because I don't remember everything that I did. So I will leave that up if you have not seen that. That is episode 1. Watch at your own risk.
I'm sure it'll be worth it. I'll get to it eventually. Tonight we're going to be discussing all things Marvel versus DC.
So, what do you think of Marvel currently?
Oh God, it's shit. I hate it so much.
But when did that change?
I think the first couple of shows that came out on Disney Plus at the very beginning were really good. Like, I was totally into WandaVision. I really enjoyed Loki. I thought Captain America and Winter Soldier.
That movie came out like 15 years ago.
No, the
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, there we go. Falcon and Winter Soldier. They didn't even give him the name Captain America yet because that's what he's grappled with that whole series or whatever. But I even really enjoyed that. But then after that, I don't know, it just fell flat. I couldn't get engaged. I was like trying to watch the episodes and like feel like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next one to come on, or I'm going to stay up and binge watch because I can't help it, and then feel miserable at work the next day, and I just fucking couldn't get into it.
It felt like they had things sort of running on autopilot.
Yeah, like they felt like they had a formula, and they were just like, we don't have to put any effort into this anymore. People are just going to watch it anyways. And it's like, well, you get complacent, you get lazy, and you don't put any effort into the character development, and that's what people care about. And I just didn't care about anything. Like the She-Hulk, like even as a female, I was like, oh, God, really this again? Like, make her be something that women are proud to see and that isn't like a war cry.
You didn't like the twerking scene?
Oh my God, that was like so secondhand embarrassing to watch. I'm like, Why? Like, none of that needs to be a thing.
Funny.
Yeah, it's not.
It's so funny.
It's like, just like, so I'm going to crap on Marvel briefly here from Endgame. When you make extremely obvious efforts to be, like, pro-feminism, it's just like, to people like me, or at least women like me, it's embarrassing. Like, I get so cringy because you don't have to do that for men. Like, men aren't like, yo, check us out. We're like awesome right now.
Yeah, but that's because we're always in the spotlight.
Oh, yeah. And so it's like that scene at the end where it's just like all of a sudden girl power and they're like, you know, I'm going to charge into battle because we're like, look at us. All the chicks can take these guys on. It was just like...
I thought the first time they did that in Infinity War, it was kind of cool because it was like, oh, that's all the female characters coming together for the first time. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then in Endgame, they're like, let's do it again, but bigger and
more
better.
cringy.
Yeah. And then they're like, 15 female superheroes all at once.
It was like, ready, girls? Let's go get them. And it was like, I sighed so hard watching that in the theater. I was like...
We kind of talked about this a little bit on a previous episode about who these who movies are targeted towards the audience.
Oh, sure.
And I'm generalizing, but people still probably get mad. I feel like
pitchforks.
Yeah, I feel like most, not all, not everyone, not all. It's okay if you're not in this group.
I don't think you vanguard that enough. You gotta...
I didn't. Now they're going to say I'm being condescending. I feel like...
Quit mansplaining, damn it.
The majority of people that I know that watch these movies are men.
Yeah, I think that's...
For the most part. There's tons of women that love these movies. But it seems like it's more targeted towards men and boys. Yeah,
it's a little bit more unique for there to be a large women audience with anything comic book related, I feel like. There's definitely a large audience of women that enjoy them, but yeah, it's going to be primarily male audience, and that's how like comic books originated. So many, like, since I don't know when the hell did Stan Lee and everybody start creating comic books, it's been primary male audience that whole time, and women are around, but yeah, it's not as prominent.
That's why I thought it was a little weird after Endgame, because it feels like they're trying to... I mean, I assume their goal is to expand their audience. Mm-hmm. They're trying to find different groups, more diversity, not because they're good people, but because they want more money.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the problem is that they're doing it at the expense of the fans that got them there.
Right.
So I'm going to go on a bit of a rant real quick.
Rant away.
Post Endgame. Let's see. Where do we start?
No, we're good. Well, I mean, there's a little bit
We'll start
of
with
good.
Loki.
Okay.
So they do Loki.
Yeah.
And then they're like, but what if Loki is with female Loki?
Yeah, for representation.
But like when you watch the show, you don't feel that. It doesn't feel forced. It was good.
Yeah,
I loved that show.
When you don't feel it, that's when you know it's been done well.
Yes.
Like when
correct.
representation has been done well is when it's not obvious and you're not like slapped in the face with it.
So then after that, they're like, not going in any particular order. They're like, hey man, let's do a Hulk show. And they're like, yes, the Hulk is going to get a
She-Hulk
TV show. And then they're like, I like that, but what if instead of Hulk, we actually do it?
She-Hulk.
Yes. And then people are kind of like, okay, that could be cool. I mean, we really like this Hulk that's already very underdeveloped and underutilized, but okay, yeah, we'll give that a shot. But do you think maybe we could get like, could you bring Daredevil back? We'd really love to see Daredevil again. And
no,
like,
fuck you. He just gets to be side ass.
Yeah, but then even better, they're like, how about instead of that, we do Echo? And they're like, who's Echo? Are you just making this up now? Echo. It's like female Daredevil.
Oh, man.
It's like, okay, but what's unique about her? I don't know. She's got one leg and she's deaf. And now we're getting an Echo show that nobody wants to watch, which nothing against the actress. I don't know if you knew this, but she's actually deaf, and I think she only has one leg, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she
which
was...
is insane.
She was in the Jeremy Renner Oh my god, why can't I'm blanking on his character's name right now.
From Marvel?
Yeah.
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye. She was in that show.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, yeah. And she was a phenomenal actress.
Right.
So it's no dogging on her and her acting abilities whatsoever. But there's just, like...
It's like Han Solo, the movie. Like, nobody asked for that. Why are you making this?
And they pick somebody who looks absolutely nothing like him.
I actually
like
kind of liked that movie a little bit. But anyway.
I did too, to be, like, fully honest, yeah. The movie itself wasn't bad if I hadn't been, like, in the mindset that it should have been Han Solo. If it was, like, another Star Wars, like, side story that was just, like, slightly related, I would have been like, yeah, this movie was really good. But because it was supposed to be Han Solo was the hard part to digest.
So, continuing my rant.
Yes, back to Marvel.
So then they're like, hey, boss, we got a new Thor movie. Ragnarok was universally loved. What should we do with this one? We're thinking of, like, can we bring back the hammer? People miss the hammer. Bring back the hammer. And then they're like, okay, fine. We'll bring back the hammer, but... Lady Thor gets the hammer.
For no reason whatsoever. That makes sense.
So then they're like, okay, well, what about Black Panther? We got to figure out what to do with that movie. Like, who's going to take up the mantle, right? And they're like, this M'Baku guy is really tough and cool. And it kind of felt like they almost were developing that a little in the first one. And then they're like, no, it's going to be his sister.
Which I could even get on board with that. Like,
I can't, because she's already the smartest person ever, and now she's also the Black Panther. It's like, it's kind of...
They could take a lineage take with that, though, where it would kind of, like, justify it because it's still within the bloodline, which they were kind of going with since it was the father, then the son, and then it could be the sister because the son died very unexpectedly and, like, tragically. But with Shuri... the character arc that they gave her was so, like, almost unredeemable that you just hated her.
Kind of.
In that movie. I was like, I'm not, like, championing, oh my God, I can't.
Championing
her at all in that movie. Like, I didn't care about what happened to her. By the end, I was like, no, I hate her character. She's a crappy person. She does not deserve to be the Black Panther. And they tried to make it, like, a little bit of a redemption arc. But I just, at that point, I was so turned off by, like, how crappy the character was. I was like, no, she was really interesting and funny and, like, a cool sidekick in the first movie. And then they, like, took the tragedy and then just made it ruin the characters to the point where I was like, no, she doesn't deserve to be the Black Panther.
Imagine if that whole movie, because I felt like the plot was, she was struggling not only to move on.
Yeah.
But imagine if instead he did become Black Panther and she had to struggle with accepting not only that he's gone, but that somebody else is taking up that title. And she struggles with accepting that. But in the end, she has to, and then she has to use her intelligence to help him. Like, wouldn't that be way more in-depth and emotional? Instead, they're just like, nah, you're everything.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel like a gimme. You know, they're just like, well, we don't really have a better solution for this, and we don't want to think about it too hard. The easy solution here is to just, like, do more female empowerment that we think is going to satisfy a female audience that isn't that prominent.
I don't think that's true at all, because look what they did with Hawkeye. They were like, you know what? We're finally doing a Hawkeye show. And they're like, yes!
Dude, I was really... Okay,
But wait. He's not the main character.
No.
And they're like, well, who's the main character? And they're like, well, it's Hawkeye. But you just said it... Well, no, it's not him. It's a girl that is... Hawkeye.
That was the most disappointing fucking series I have seen in a long time. I was so disappointed when I watched that, and I was so excited when I heard that it was happening, because I feel like Hawkeye was extremely underrated during, like, the series. And they did a good job of, like, keeping, like, an undertone of him and, like, and his importance, because Jeremy Renner is just, like, a killer actor. Like, anything he does, he's fantastic at it. Even when people were crapping on him for taking over, like, the Bourne series in that one movie, I thought he just killed it. So, anyways, Jeremy Renner fan, yeah. But he was a really powerful character as Hawkeye. So I'm like, finally, he's going to get his credit doing a solo show. And then they immediately just hand it off to like a side character we've never heard of. We don't even care about her because she's like a bratty rich kid.
I will say I actually did like her character.
I mean, maybe I'm a little biased because Haley, Steinfeld?
Yeah.
Steinfeld? I'm not a big fan of hers. I kind of struggle to...
See, I didn't know anything about her until that show. And I actually loved that show until the last episode.
I feel like the stuff that I've seen her in before now is very similar. So it wasn't like a character stretch for her. So it just felt like kind of a regurgitation of like other things that she's done before. So it didn't feel like anything unique and earned.
Yeah.
It felt handed again. And it was like, man, we could have had like a really powerful Hawkeye series. And then it was immediately just like, nope, it's this rich little brat who lost her family.
What'd you think of Miss Marvel?
I didn't watch it because at that point I was like, fuck this shit.
I watched, I think, the first 2 episodes. And it was well done. I could tell it was well done. But it was another example of just this show is not meant for me to watch, I don't think.
Yeah, it felt like it was aimed at a much younger audience just in general from like the promos that I was like being, pushed on Disney Plus and stuff. And I knew that she was a character because I watched the new Doctor Strange movie. And so I saw like the introduction of her character. And it was interesting, but it definitely...
Wait, she wasn't in Doctor Strange?
Miss Marvel?
Miss Marvel?
Yeah.
She wasn't in that movie.
Are you sure? The little girl that can make portals?
No, that's not her.
Which one is she then?
She's America Chavez or something like that. Did you just make an accidentally racist? That's not the same character or
What
actress.
character is she?
Which one?
The one from Hawkeye. Or the one from Doctor Strange. I thought that was her introduction to the MCU.
That's a completely different character.
Which one is she then? Because she's
new,
a Marvel.
She's new to that movie.
I'm pretty sure. What character was she then? Because they kept referring to her as Miss Marvel.
Not in that movie. I think you're confusing something.
We're going to Google this.
You don't have to Google it.
We're going to Google it right now.
You can read the comments that are being typed right now as we're having this conversation. She was introduced...
Miss Marvel.
So the girl in Doctor Strange was introduced in Doctor Strange. Remember, she, like a bee stung her or whatever, and her parents tried to save her, or they were there and she accidentally like sent them into a different universe, or she sent herself into a different universe. I can't remember.
I thought that was Miss Marvel.
No.
What the hell was her character then in that?
I just told
Doctor
you.
Strange.
It was
but
called,
what was it called?
Her name's like America Chavez or something.
America Chavez.
Yeah,
That's literally her character's name?
Yeah, that's
she
what
doesn't
I said.
First hit is Who is America Chavez in Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I literally thought it was the same character.
But see, I think that says a lot about the current state of the MCU.
Right.
We just don't know who these people are anymore.
Yeah, and I don't care either because none of them have like a strong enough plot or a character development that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really interested in learning more about this random B character that I've never heard of before. I mean, granted,
the bee isn't really a character in that scene.
It's a side character. It's a plot device.
What do you think about the music as a whole for the MCU?
As a whole?
Like, just in general.
Underwhelming. Like,
Yeah.
It's not memorable. Like, I don't... So, being a nerd for movie scores, I have very, very few Marvel scores on my playlist.
Which ones are on your playlist?
There are some from Endgame, like the scene where...
Portals?
Portals.
Yeah.
No, not that one. It's the one where Scarlett Johansson's character, Black Widow, and Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye, are fighting over who's going to kill themselves.
That music's really good.
Yeah, that music is very good.
That music comes back in Hawkeye?
Did it?
When he's like outside of a building, there's some kind of memorial thing.
Well, and they also used it like in a form when Gamora was killed too.
Yes.
By Thanos.
Yeah.
So like they've regurgitated it throughout the series, but the build was when Hawkeye and Black Widow were fighting.
That's because Alan Silvestri did those movies. And he's awesome.
So that one was really good. That one was actually fantastic. So I have that one, and I also loved, I can't remember the second Thor movie's name right now.
Dark World?
Dark World. I loved the score that they used when his mother was killed, Freya, and then when Loki was, like, supposedly killed, but he didn't actually die. That score that they used several times throughout that movie is kind of like the theme. I thought that was really good, too. So I like... Those two specifically stood out to me, but beyond that, for the most part, they're kind of, like, they're there and they can be powerful at the right moments, but they're not really memorable where I'm, like, searching them to, like, add them to my playlist, if that makes sense.
That's pretty much it then?
Yeah, for the most part.
We did this movie a couple of years ago called The Worst Movie Ever Made. And it was about a fake production set for a superhero movie, like the worst superhero movie. Mm-hmm. So at that time, I was researching a bunch of MCU music to come up with a theme for this character. And I ended up realizing that basically every one of these themes used the same 3 to 4 chords every time. In particular, there's this one superhero chord
Sure.
where you change one of the notes and it gives you that superhero sound. And you can hear that in things like... Even like the new Spider-Man games and everything.
Sure.
It's like the superhero sound. But I've noticed that in the MCU there are certain movies that when they do it, it's like really, really memorable. And other times it works.
Right.
But you don't really remember it. So I think the best example of that is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I would agree. Most of that soundtrack was only amazing because they took pop culture songs from
I'm not talking
the
about
80s.
that. I'm talking about the score.
That's the only reason that people remember any music in that movie.
Yeah.
They don't remember any of the score music.
Which is a bummer because the main theme in those movies is awesome. And I was super bummed when I saw the third one. And did you see the third one?
I haven't yet.
What?
No. I know.
It's one of the really good ones.
I know. I've heard it's really good.
They don't play
People
that main...
I know have told me.
They don't play that main theme until like 2 hours into the movie. And it's mostly because they have a new theme for Rocket and they really...
Hammered that one in.
Yeah, and it's good. It's really good and it's emotional and everything. But it bummed me out to the point where I was actually wondering if they had a different composer on it.
Oh, interesting.
Because the MCU does that sometimes. They switch composers and then they don't carry over any of the themes.
Sure.
Like Doctor Strange. You hear the theme in the second one like once or twice, kinda, and you just don't hear it again. And it's like, that's a bummer.
That movie was just pure chaos in general, though.
But they end up, in Guardians, they end up playing that theme like 2 hours into it. And I remember when it happens, they're flying a ship and like things are blowing up. And as soon as I heard it, it's just like this overwhelming emotion of, like, it's their, like, togetherness music, if that makes any sense.
So do you think that it was better then that they didn't include it up until that point so that moment felt more powerful, or you felt it was really absent?
It felt absent. Sure. I mean, I understand why they did it. It technically, I guess, I think it played it in the very beginning on, like, there's a soft piano thing going on in the background, but... Yeah, it felt missed. It bummed me out a little bit. I will say my favorite soundtrack ever is from a Marvel movie.
Really? Okay.
And it's post-Endgame.
Post-Endgame.
And I had no idea I was even going to like this movie. I thought this movie was going to be terrible.
Okay.
And it is so good. You want to guess?
Drum roll. Should I
guess?
I can't even name all the movies that have come out since Endgame is over.
It
from
was
Marvel.
Shang-Chi.
Oh, actually, yeah, that was a good movie. That was a pretty good movie.
The music in that movie, I don't know if you remember it. It is
vaguely
so good. Ridiculously good.
I've only seen it the one time and it was in theaters and it was a really long time ago. Mm-hmm. So if I watched it again, I'd probably resonate more with the music.
Yeah, I loved it. I specifically remember this scene, the one where he's under the water and the dragon comes up.
Sure.
and it's so emotional from the music. It's just amazing.
Well, that's the whole point of score, is to make you empower those moments that are supposed to be really dramatic and like swell that up, because without the music there it'd be like, this is good, but like real life a little lackluster.
So do you think the DC movies have better music?
Absolutely. It's Hans Zimmer, so hands down he wins every time.
Okay, I'm going to say something controversial.
Controversial.
And it has to do with Hans Zimmer. Which actually is interesting, because if you're in like the music community, people like hate Hans Zimmer.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is. People
Makes
think
me sad.
People think he's like the Taylor Swift before. Everyone loves Taylor Swift now.
Do they?
Kind of, yeah.
I don't.
I do.
You know,
Yeah, well.
yeah, I would go to a concert, but
I would not.
I wouldn't pay money, but
I don't even think I would take a ticket if it was
no,
free, to be honest.
I heard it's
Yeah.
crazy, but
I don't even care.
anyway, yeah. That's how people feel about Hans Zimmer.
Well,
Not
oh.
everyone, but a lot of people in like the composer industries, they think that every score sounds the same and he's so generic and boring, because there's this new thing happening with music and movies where like the more weird it is, the better it is, which I completely disagree with.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I get that people are bored of hearing this same kind of thing over and over again, but
Yeah, but I mean, like, as many Hans Zimmer scores as I have on my playlist, they all feel different to me. Like, sure, yeah, the movies, like, within a genre can feel very similar, and he's definitely got a style, which is why people seek him out for their projects, because they want that style. But to me, they each have, like, a unique life of their own that makes you feel different things for each movie.
I think it's gotten
That makes
more
me-
generic recently.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
Like, I feel like his older stuff is a lot more diverse, but anyway, I'm going to say something controversial.
Whip it out.
I hate the Wonder Woman theme. That stupid guitar. I hate that so much. I don't know why. If you like it, that's fine. When I hear that, I want to put my head through a wall. It is so cheesy, and there's nothing about that makes me go, yeah!
Fuck you, kick some
I
ass.
hate it. I hate it so much. So... So yes, I don't think the DC's
What a hot
music,
take.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of people love that soundtrack for some reason.
I don't hate it. I don't think it's amazing, but I did enjoy it like the first few times I heard it, because it was so unique. Like, and it was
it though?
Like, to me, yeah, it was, because like her.
It sounds like the Power Rangers.
Maybe it's been too long since I've watched the Power Rangers that it didn't resonate, but like when she made her entrance in the Dawn of Justice movie, I think it was, right?
Yes.
Like, it was cool. What,
Maybe
like,
not.
to me, it was cool, like, when her character would arrive on scene and be totally badass, and then
go,
you'd get. Yeah.
I remember I saw that with my brother, the Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
We decided to go see it, and
Which
mean,
I loved that whole movie score.
That movie was horrible though. But anyway,
Yeah.
save that for another time.
Your mom's name
Yeah.
is the same as my mom's name?
Yeah. Well, I guess I won't kill you now.
My mind totally changed.
I remember hearing that theme in that movie, and I felt like I just looked at him, and it was like, should we leave?
Comedic.
Should we leave? This is bad. This is really bad. But I think that Marvel has... Their music should be way better, but I still think it's probably better than DC, because I don't remember any of the DC music.
See, and I remember more DC music than I do Marvel.
Like, which movies?
So the very first Superman movie, Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I loved the score in that movie. What Are You Going to Do When You're Not Saving the World is a
Who did
fucking
that
awesome
one?
song. Hans Zimmer.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
He's
know
done
that.
like almost all of the DC movies, which is why they're probably awesome. He did the Christopher Nolan Batman series
Yeah.
and all
Well, he
so,
didn't do them by himself.
well. So but DC in general to me has a history of having at least music that's been really memorable for me. And like to the point where I'm like, man, I'm definitely going to search that out and add it. But like Marvel kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Maybe it's because there's more of it and it just kind of gets
Maybe.
like
I mean,
kind of lost in the shuffle. I don't know, but
all
like
right, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You ready? Do you remember the music from Aquaman? Just yes or no?
no.
Do you remember the music from The Flash?
I haven't seen The Flash yet.
That soundtrack actually was pretty good.
Was it?
Do you
I'll find
remember
out.
the music from Wonder Woman other than the main theme?
No.
Wonder Woman 2?
Let's not talk about that one. That one doesn't count.
How
We're
about-
going to pretend like that doesn't
How
exist.
about Justice League? Do you remember a main theme for the Justice League?
Not off the top of my head, no.
How about Shazam?
I never saw that.
First one was actually pretty good. How about the Joker?
There's two.
There is two.
I never saw the Joker.
You didn't see the Joker?
No.
So the music in that one, I believe it won some awards, and I think it was.
Is this the Joker that was Joaquin Phoenix?
Yes, Joaquin.
Joaquin, whatever.
However you say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna butcher names.
I think that was the same composer that did Chernobyl, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, that was a good series.
So the soundtrack is like very weird and unique, and I think it won some awards. I can't remember though. But the point I'm making is, with all of these Marvel movies, I know people are going to disagree, but I feel like I remember them at least more. I may not like them more, but I remember them more.
I don't remember Marvel movies specific themes other than like Iron Man, just because it's been around for so long and
Yeah.
there were so many versions
And it
of
changed every movie.
yeah, like I could probably name less from Marvel than I can or that I would recognize from DC. But they both have like ups and downs, but like for them being such powerhouse film industries that they are, or sagas, whatever the hell you want to call them, they should have a lot more powerful music than they do.
They should.
There's just like one here and there every once in a while that's really notable, and you're like, wow, that was amazing. And they have the capability of doing it, obviously.
It makes me wonder, because like all of the composers that work on these movies are like huge Hollywood composers, like Silvestri and like Brian Tyler and Giacchino and all these people are like doing every movie that's out there. And you watch these movies and it makes you wonder if it's like a more on the producer or director end, where they're just like, make it really generic superhero stuff, because those people can make
Right.
really insane music.
Yeah, Lost is one of my favorite soundtracks.
Yeah.
Like, amazing music. And it, kind of gets like, hey, we just need to whip this out quick.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put much effort into it. We need it for the graphics budget.
Did you know that Giacchino's like directing movies now?
Is he?
Yeah. I
Like
can't
what?
remember what movie. I think he's either done 2 or he's about to do his second. So that guy is just like living the dream right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you knew, he did like Spider-Man,
Which,
the newer ones.
like all of the new Marvel ones?
Yeah.
Or like Marvel Sony ones?
Yep. He
Okay.
did Doctor Strange.
He's got a really signature sound. So usually when I'm in a movie, I'll hear like certain instruments and the way he uses them, and I'll be like, I think I know who that is. And then I'll look it up afterwards. I'm like, yeah.
I had that happen with Night at the Museum. I
Oh,
was
okay.
rewatching it with someone, and the end credits were playing on the TV, and I was like, that really sounds like Alan Silvestri. And I looked it up, and it was. And I was like, oh, I'm such a nerd. Like, how can people tell that? You know, just, it's like the runs and the things that they do in their music. They have a writing style.
Yeah, they definitely have like a certain signature sound that even when they're making it unique for different movies, it's still there, it still resonates. So it's just, yeah, that's kind of funny. I can't remember what the hell movie it was right now, but I was like, oh man, Star Trek.
Which one?
I think any of them. The new ones.
Yeah.
So anything with Chris Pine.
Yep.
Like, I immediately knew it was the same composer.
Do you know who did those?
Yeah, it was Michael. I'm going to butcher his last name because it's so Italian.
It's Giacchino.
Giacchino.
And I know that because he did an AMA on Reddit. And
Thank
someone
God.
asked him.
Yes. So Giacchino, he did some of the Star Trek stuff. And I was like, that's the Lost guy.
Yep.
Like, I knew it just like watching the movie. I was like, yep, I know that.
So I noticed that you're wearing a Binc film sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
I don't know. I just found it on the floor.
Really?
Yeah.
The
it was
floor
weird.
or the store?
The floor.
Does that rhyme?
Floor store. Yeah, probably.
I mean, kind of.
Well enough for right now. Yeah, sure. We'll go
How
with it.
is it? Do you recommend it?
Yeah, it's comfortable. It's very comfortable. Highly recommend.
it doesn't-
Soft cotton.
It's, well, if you found it on the floor, it doesn't like smell. Or,
No, not too much.
No?
Like it was wearable. I was like, okay, this is fine.
It's because we order those from China and we don't ask where they came from. Kidding. Joke. It's a joke. I mean, they probably still come from China, but
Did you just accidentally act a little racist?
that's not racist. How is that racist? I didn't say it came from China, therefore it's poorly made and it smells like crap. That's not what I said.
It was a little sketch.
Sketch. All right, I think that probably about does it.
Thanks for watching the Binc Film Podcast.
You can find us on all social media except Instagram because they suck.
Yeah.
Because they banned us.
They banned us
Yeah,
for
dicks.
What was it for?
I pull it up.
We had like what
I'll pull it up
100.
another time.
We had like 100 followers or something, and they said we like.
We broke the community guidelines.
Yeah, we broke community.
But wouldn't say
guidelines.
what it was.
Yeah.
And they just locked you out of your
Yeah,
account.
and then we just logged, so we're like, we're not using that platform.
So
anymore.
F you,
Yeah.
Insta.
Yeah.
Eat it.
We Insta got out of there.
And now you're on TikTok
We are.
and all the other major platforms.
Yeah.
Check us out now.
Thanks for watching.
Cut.